I have a very poorly McLaren back at the unit. But we're here at McLaren to come and collect some parts because we couldn't find them anywhere else, and hopefully they can help us with my McLaren. I took a huge risk buying this cheap 720s from Amsterdam, not knowing how it was crashed or if it even ran.
Oh.
To later find out the damage to the carbon tub wasn't fixable at all. So I had to take on the challenge myself by buying a whole new tub and rebuild it from scratch like they do in the factory.
This is how they do it at the factory.
With a bet from Richard Hammond that I'll be on the road by Christmas.
No way!
But just when I thought it was about ready for the road, the worst happened.
Oh.
Car started to smoke with no explanation, and with second-hand engines costing over £30,000, I'm hoping it's nothing serious. Shocks. Oh, this is nice, isn't it? That's sick.
So much better than yours.
The guys at McLaren were really helpful, but I've come up to pick up some new suspension because the ones that are on the car at the minute are clearly bent. And whilst we was there, the McLaren technician gave us some vital information, which is definitely going to help us later on in the video.
And then the bonnet was going boom.
Secured the bag. Let's go fit them and hopefully get it in gear. So you're probably thinking, Matt, why are you spending nearly £3,000 or over £3,000 on suspension when the last time we started this thing, it looked like this? Well, check this out.
There's no smoke.
No smoke.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
A little bit of smoke. Yeah, boy. My heart can rest. Let me explain why. Check this out. This is Tavares's 675 LT starting up for the first time. And this is V-tuned 720s starting up for the first time. And this is a McLaren I've seen on Instagram starting up. All sharing the same kind of smokiness that mine did. Turns out these engines are really easy to overfill the oil on. And if you overfill it by even just a quart, it'll find its way into the breather system and eventually out of the exhaust. So maybe we need to run this car up to temperature so we can actually see on the screen what the oil level is. Why they got rid of the dipstick on most cars, I do not know. But it just would have been a lot easier if we could test the car with the dipstick, not with running it up to temperature and smoking out the whole unit. Right now, the smoke seems to have stopped, so perhaps it's burnt all the excess oil already, but we need to check to be sure. Where do you reckon it is?
Where's this? Oh! There. No. Yeah. Short vehicle.
We couldn't seem to find where you're supposed to check the oil level on the screen, so we resorted to the user manual. Vehicle stationary position on a level surface, neutral selective, foot brake applied, oil is going to be 95 degrees.
We're currently on 10.
To check the oil, we need to use the main odometer screen. The problem is, I can't scroll through the menu on the screen because it's just covered by a suspension fault. But to start off with, we thought we'd get the oil up to temperature and maybe we could see the level when the car's turned off. And with the car turned off, we could scroll through the menu. But to later find out, you need the car on to check the oil. So you can't, how am I meant to check you've got to check the oil when the car's running, but then I can't control this screen because of the suspension fault. So it's prioritising a suspension fault over checking the oil. The engine seems all good. It stopped smoking. It doesn't smoke when I rev it anymore. It seems logical that I've overfilled it with oil, bearing in mind how many other people have done the same thing. The only thing, we cannot check how much oil is in it because we've got a suspension fault. So we need to go back to the original plan of getting this car running, putting the suspension on, getting rid of the fault, and then maybe we can check the oil. So let's unbox this brand new suspension from McLaren. Now, because we haven't bled the suspension, I didn't actually think there'd be any pressure in it. but I was wrong.
All over me.
It's all over.
It went in my eyes.
It seems the McLaren must pressurise the system, regardless of whether you bled it or not. Well, at least we know now. It's fairly easy to remove the old suspension, 2 bolts at the top and 1 bolt at the bottom. And then in goes the new suspension on both sides, this time not bent. And remember, once the car's running, we're going to have to take it to McLaren to get the suspension set up because it requires their special tool to bleed all the hydraulics in it. But that should just about do it. New suspension is on. Very good, very nice. Now, look at all these handbrake calipers that we have accumulated. I've had to buy another one. This electronic handbrake mechanism. My one was broke on here. I've had to buy a whole new one off eBay. I couldn't find one which worked. £250, not too bad. I've just got to bolt that to there, and that controls the handbrake on the rear caliper. And someone actually said, I don't know whether it's true or not, that apparently this is connected with the traction control as well, and if the wheels start jittering round, it's the handbrake that they use. I don't know how true that is. Maybe, no, that can't be true.
No, you do big skids.
Yeah,
just lock on the handbrake.
I think they would just. I think it would do it with the actual caliper, wouldn't it? ABS. It wouldn't be controlled with the handbrake, would it?
That's going to be just dead slow, isn't it? That's a slow.
Yeah, it's slow. Yeah, liars. This should be a pretty easy job. 2 bolts to unscrew the old broken electronic handbrake, and then 2 screws to bolt on the brand new second-hand electronic handbrake. All this motor does is turn to push the pistons in the handbrake caliper, which then pushes the brake pads to clamp onto the rear brake disc. A lot of supercars use a separate handbrake caliper just for heat purposes. Anti-roll bar drop links. Now these go on the anti-roll bar and then into the wishbone there. This one is a McLaren one. I've got one I've found off a Mazda 5 or 6, I think it was. These were £15 each. And look, I was so close to getting it right, but unfortunately the only difference, which is quite vital, is the thread. The pitch of the thread is different on the McLaren one to the Mazda one. So this won't work. So it was worth a try. So all I'm going to do is put the McLaren one in and order one from McLaren. But when fitting the McLaren drop link, I noticed something fishy. So this one was from the scrap man, and well, looking at a photo, it was completely wrong because this is hitting there, and that, look how short that is. We've got the right hand side wishbone here, and it is the same length as that one. So this side must be for the right hand side, and the left hand side must have a shorter one like that for the clearance. How crazy is that? I've never seen that before. 2 different drop links.
Neither have I, Mr. Cameraman.
So I ordered a drop link for the left hand side from McLaren.
You see my link?
Does it fit?
Look at that.
Yeah.
And my dad fitted the right hand side drop link to the right side of the wishbone. One of the last things to be fitted on the suspension is what I thought was a headlight sensor, which detects how high the car's sitting so it can adjust the headlights accordingly. But actually this sensor's on all 4 corners. So I'm now thinking it's got something to do with the suspension. It knows if one side's too low or too high to adjust the suspension to make it sit flat. Okay, headlight sensor on. Not that we've got headlights in, but I'm going to plug the code reader in because if you go and have a look at the interior, half of it's missing. And the reason why I haven't put the full thing in is because if we've got a code on the seat belts, because normally when an airbag blows, the seat belts do lock out, but these haven't locked out, but that's not to mean that they've got an airbag code. So if I'm going to plug this in, see if it works. If it's not got an airbag code, then we can start putting the rest of the interior in and then try and figure out the gear issue. I don't even know if this is going to work on the McLaren.
What happens if we do have a seatbelt fault?
We've got to send the seatbelts off. Oh. No McLaren, okay. Scanning it as a regular car. Let's see what it does. Turns out, you actually need a special McLaren diagnostic tool to read the car. But mine did read some basic fault codes. Mass airflow sensor, wheel speed sensor, but none of which showed a suspension fault or airbag. No airbag stuff. But there's an airbag light on the dash, look. There was only one airbag which was actually detonated on the McLaren, and that was on the driver's side door. Like, I think we're gonna have an airbag light on because there's airbags in the doors. The doors aren't on. Airbags in the seats ain't in. There's airbag sensors on the front bumper ain't in. So there's gonna be an airbag light on. So I think the best I could do right now without the McLaren tool is get onto my fault reader and just clear all the existing codes and hope for the best. With my lack of knowledge and experience, I will say these seatbelts are good to go.
Do you agree?
I haven't got any knowledge on seatbelts. Matt's the expert.
With me deciding the seatbelts are all good to go, I can finally start putting the rest of the interior back together. The engine cover goes on the back with 9 million screws to hold it in, and then on goes the rest of the trim pieces. There's this piece of carpet which I assume is just the parcel shelf, trims on each corner which cover over the speakers and a lot of the wires, and then this bit of carpet which also works as some kind of sound deadening as well for the engine. After that, there's a huge bit of trim which sits behind the seats, and then loads of other little bits of trim which are held in with clips. Big moment, the seats are going in. It seems like such a long time ago we actually removed them, and putting them back in feels so good. Remembering to connect up the seatbelt first, and then I can lower it into place and bolt it in. One seat in. They look comfortable but sporty. Let me show you something that might actually shock you. Look at the car on screen now. This is a Lamborghini Gallardo that I checked out using Car Vertical. And I could see the photos of the damage. Scary stuff. Oh, there we go. Now that is scary, but what would be even more scary is if you bought that car without knowing it'd been in an accident. Make scary noises. Oh, yeah. But there's ways you can avoid that. Like I mentioned, Car Vertical. What it will show you is a big checklist like this, and it will show you whether it's ever been stolen, when it's ever had any mileage fraud, whether it's ever been exported, and most importantly for me, whether it's ever been in an accident. Not only has this Lamborghini had damage, it's also got not outstanding finance, but it's marked as scrap. This is a category B car, so it can't be put back on the road. To check your car out, you can do with the link in the description box below, and when you check it out, make sure you put Matt in the discount code box thing, because that's going to save you some money on your check and potentially stop you or help you buying your next car. Why is this one not moving?
Did you Car Vertical check this car before buying it?
Yes, I did.
And was it in previous damage?
I completely ignored it. We couldn't get it in gear in the last video, but we spoke to the McLaren tech, and as helpful as they were, they said apparently if the bonnet isn't latched, it won't go into gear, because what people were doing was driving along and accidentally pressing this unlatched bonnet lock.
If people driving and accidentally touch the knob, and then the bonnet was going boom.
But there's a way to override it, he said. If we hold down drive, it will override that. If that works, that is life saved. So we're going to just try and figure it out. Will it start? Of course it will. We still can't check the oil.
Oh! Condensation.
Yeah, condensation.
Oh. Where did that come from?
I still think we've overfueled it. Ready?
I'm ready.
Yes! It worked!
Wheels are turning.
Are they?
Yeah, well, brake discs are turning, yeah.
I have a small feeling that oil is definitely still overfilled, because we need to be able to check the oil, but we can't check the oil without the suspension fault coming off the dash, unless there's a hack around that as well. Here are the rear wheels. The front wheels survived. The back wheels, this one is no longer round. This one,
Oh yeah, that one will.
it looks okay from the front.
Oh yeah, easily.
And yeah, that one is definitely perished. I have ordered some new wheels, but in the meantime, Wheelmania have sent me some to just use to roll it round. Let's drive it. We're going! We're going! Yeah! We're actually outside! We're out of the unit! Right, drive. Yes! It's working! Look, it's actually driving. Yeah! Oh, there's no wind. It's a bit windy in here. It's a bit windy, but... Oh, it's working! What? This might not look like much to some people, but this was a huge achievement for me. It was only 2 months ago that this McLaren was just a bare shell, and now it's actually driving. And driving well. It feels like, this car feels like, it's not set up or anything, but it feels like so well, like balanced, you know, it feels so light. And even Hannah enjoyed it. It might not be on the road just yet, but it is so close to it now. Will I prove Richard Hammond wrong? I don't know. But to get this far anyway is a huge achievement for me either way. It actually runs. Next step is bolting on all the body panels, but they're being painted, so you're gonna have to see that in the next video. Thanks so much for watching it. If you've enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
What do you think?
It's a bit windy.